we're going to be talking about inner critic versus brain. So a lot of the stuff that I do is around neuroscience and then how it kind of comes into your everyday actions. So I have two big voices in my head. I have the one voice which is very clear, very strategic, very focused, knows where she's going. And then I have this other bloody annoying brain, which is talking about my critic all the time, always having a go. And I like to win. I like results, I like to achieve, I like pace. I'm very pacey, if not impatient. And if you give me a goal, I'll go for it every single time. But the issue with this is that she always turns up, no matter how much I don't want her to. Now, for 10 years, I climbed the corporate ladder, got to the top, had a great time, most of it, but had this niggle going on for about 10 years. And I felt stuck and a bit trapped, and I wanted more impact, and I wanted more freedom. But I just couldn't get out. And I realized very quickly that I'd been really conditioned since the get-go. Conditioned not only by the conversations and the environment that I was in, but also by this critic who kept telling me, don't leave, you've managed to do so much, you've got a nice car, you've got a great house, you've got loads of money, you know all these people who probably won't talk to you, by the way, if you leave. And I was like becoming an automaton. And I felt it every day. I felt like there was something in me that wasn't getting fulfilled. And like Pavlov's dogs, when they got conditioned with a bell for food, I was conditioned with do not take a risk, do not be an outlier, fit in. And I started to wonder how the hell that came to be. And I started to think back to when I was 21. Some of the girls on this table actually speak as a 21. And I remember, and I remember thinking, God, my first boss, after 6 months in role, I remember thinking, I'm not sure I like HR, which is what I was in. And she said to me, don't disappoint me by trying to go and get another job. That was it. 20 years later, I'm at the top of my HR career. I'm on promotion potential for the CPO of a major organization, and I'm sitting there feeling the heavy weight, and I do not feel like I want it. And everything in me, this inner critic, is telling me, don't go and do anything different. Until the day when the heaviness got too much, and I jumped. And I have to say, it was part thrill, part emotional stroke identity crisis, and I ended up flying off with my inner critic along the way, chatting on at me about I'd done the wrong thing. So it was a bit of an emotional hijack. I did feel like my head had fallen off. I did feel like maybe I haven't done the right thing. But what I learned that day is you cannot hold your emotions down. When your values don't fit with what you're doing in your life, your head will fall off. And I also learned from the next few years of doing development on myself and doing coaching and doing neuroscience that actually emotions aren't a problem. We often think they are. They're actually the pathway. And if you listen to them and you try and make sense of them, you can start to live a life that's a bit more values-led. So, nowadays, and it's a skill, and I'm not great at it, I would say, not always, as a fast-paced person, I did the thing that you probably wouldn't do, and I slowed the hell down. And I started thinking, well, what does that emotion actually mean? What's really going on here? And instead of enabling my amygdala, the emotional part, to kind of hijack me, I allowed my logic to. And I started to make friends with my inner critic. But my inner critic wasn't talking from a place of fear, she was talking from a place of loss of identity. Because after 22 years of being in a corporate world, I didn't know who I was anymore. And I was on this boat, drifting about, with all of these sea of emotions, with my inner critic talking about what she knew. But it was all past. None of it was future. And I learned really quickly that I needed to steer the ship. So I started looking at her a little bit differently. And the neuroscience space helped me to think about this a bit more. And I started to think of her like a little child friend who was a little bit scared for me, but was trying to protect me. And actually, in the sense of trying to protect me, what I wasn't going to let her do if she was a child was take control of the wheel. And actually, what I do now is when I feel something, I don't do slides very well, obviously. When I feel something, I allow myself to feel it. I name it. I breathe, and I choose what I want to feel. And this is something I do now in my coaching practice, and I have to say it has launched me into a completely different space in my life. It has enabled me to slow down and actually work out the path that I consciously want to take, rather than the path I think I should take, or the path that somebody else wants me to take. But it's all about listening to emotions and working with your brain. Now, she's still there, that little inner critic, even, 2 and a bit years on. She's still there, always questioning. She's such a bloody questioner. She's always asking me, which way should we go now? Are you doing the right thing? Are you sure you shouldn't be going back into corporate world and doing that thing again? You could get a job because there's a headhunter that you know from the past, etc., etc. But realistically, emotions move faster than thoughts. We're built and wired for it. We're built to feel before we think. And what I've learned is, if you slow down and allow yourself to feel, the light bulb moments start to happen, because then you realise that you're not jumping. So, like I say, she's still there, but she's now on the lead. She's now on the lead, and she'll never leave, all right? And there's many versions of her. But I'm friends with her, and I never was before. And being a friend with your inner critic, which I don't know whether we all have them, when you're a friend with an inner critic, it enables you to do more than you realise. So thanks for listening. I run a company called Work Wobble. It's about having wobbles at work and coaching yourself through them, out of them, into a different space. And hopefully you've enjoyed just knowing my little experience.